So this is now becoming basically a humiliation ritual. Could you imagine a world in which everything you watch, right, you are somehow now responsible for every single word within it? Notably absent, by the way, is the press going up to Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of Amazon, who runs Amazon, and saying, hey, why did you allow this documentary to be on Amazon? There's no outcry. There's no everybody delete your Amazon accounts because of this documentary. They are putting this firmly and squarely on Kyrie Irving, which is problematic in the first place. I want to also make it clear that in listening to his words, it is pointedly ridiculous that they would say that he is unfit to be associated with. There was nothing that he said, but I would say that he is unfit to be associated with because he very clearly condemns the falsities in the movie. He says, I do not think this way. He actually calls them falsehoods that are unfortunate, right? He says that that is not what I said. Do not attribute every word in this documentary to what my beliefs are. He also very clearly stipulates to them when they ask him, are you anti-Semitic? He clarifies that he's not anti-Semitic. Now, why is Kyrie Irving saying that? Why is he saying, I can't be anti-Semitic? Why is he saying that a couple of breaths after he talks about the Oxford Dictionary? So here is the definition of Semitic straight from the Oxford Dictionary. It's relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. The second definition listed is relating to the people who speak Semitic languages, especially Hebrew and Arabic. So clearly what Kyrie Irving is saying based on that definition is that he believes that he is Semitic, that he hails from maybe Africa or from Asia, which is what the documentary explores. And I'm going to give you my feedback because obviously I watched the documentary after listening to this, right? His feedback is, do not make the word Semitic just about Jewish people in America. It includes a lot of other people, okay? Now, you might disagree with that. You might disagree with the Oxford Dictionary definition, but you can't be mad at him for stating the actual Oxford Dictionary definition.
It's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, that I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I studied. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in a book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from, like a tree with roots.
The last thing that I want to say here, just regarding his press conference, and I want to say this really from the heart, because there was so much pressure that was put upon me to condemn Kyrie Irving, right? To condemn Kyrie Irving based on this press conference, to basically decide that his pain is irrelevant.
But I sure as hell got peer pressured and employer pressured to put out a statement against Kanye. It's not, just in retrospect, it's amazing because it's like, how about you put out a statement against Bibi Netanyahu? I don't know. He's like a stone cold killer. He's mass murdering children. How about you put out an effing statement against Bibi Netanyahu? But no, the pressure came in and I had just signed a larger deal with the Daily Wire for years. And I got brought into a conference room. The entire world condemned Kanye West. The entire world. I mean, it felt like the entire world. He lost his Adidas contract. He lost his Gap contract. But that wasn't enough because they wanted me to do it.
When I watched this press conference, I felt Kyrie's pain. I felt his pain, and I will say this emotionally and not rationally, as a Black person. People don't often think about how bizarre it is that we don't know where we come from, right? We don't know. If you ask the majority of white people, they'll say, oh, my family's from Scotland. My husband's family can go back so many generations and talk about where they're from in England. And when you talk to most people, they have this sort of cultural understanding of their history. We don't. It's a weird feeling. You do sort of feel out of place. And yes, of course, it's because of the slave trade. And I'm not throwing that on anybody. I'm not saying that it's somebody else's fault. But what Kyrie Irving says is that you can't pit atrocity against another atrocity and basically say that his pain doesn't matter, that his noble pursuit of wanting to know where he came from, even if he landed on the wrong conclusions, is something that he is valid in feeling. It's a journey that he is valid in wanting to go on and wanting to partake in.
I went on to Amazon Prime. I was like, you know what, let me see if there are any documentaries on Yahweh. So went in the search bar, typed in Yahweh, that came up. Went out and shared it on my platform. That was my night. In terms of the backlash or what people call it, we're in 2022. History is not supposed to be hidden from anybody. And I'm not a divisive person when it comes to religion. I embrace all walks of life. You see it on all my platforms. I talk to all races, all cultures, all religions. And my response would be, it's not about educating yourself on what Semitism is and what anti-Semitism is. It's really about learning the root words of where these come from and understanding that this is an African heritage that is also belonging to the people. Africa is in it, whether we want to dismiss it or not. So the claims of anti-Semitism and who are the original chosen people of God, and we go into these religious conversations and it's a big no-no. I don't live my way like that. I don't live my life that way. Excuse me, I grew up in a melting pot, and I say a melting pot of all races, white, black, red, yellow, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and you can see the way I live my life now. I'm not here to be divisive, so they could push their agenda. I don't want to say they, because I'm not identifying any one group or race of people, but I'm in a unique position to have a level of influence on my community, and what I post does not mean that I support everything that's being said or everything that's being done, or I'm campaigning for anything. All I do is post things for my people in my community and those that it's actually going to impact. Anybody else that has criticism, it obviously wasn't meant for them.
I was probably one of the first guys on Twitter, and when I realized the power it had, I knew I had to be very responsible. Followers, platform, whatever you call it, I knew I had to be responsible. I try to make people happy. I try to make people smile. My formula has always been the same: 60% to make you laugh, 30% to inspire you, and 10% whatever I'm selling. You have to be aware of what you're doing. And you have to be aware that sometimes when you put stuff out, not everybody's gonna like it. Some people are conscious, some people are not. I can tell he's not conscious, he doesn't really care what's going on. But us, I know that the game that we used to love and we promote, it brings people together. And it hurts me sometimes when we have to sit up here to talk about stuff that divides the game. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done. Now we got to answer for what this idiot has done.
Shalom, shalom, Hebrews. Ron Dalton Jr. giving you a special announcement. This Thursday coming up, we're going to be at the Cityplex 12 Theater in Newark, New Jersey. If you haven't seen the first movie, well, actually, if you haven't seen the second movie, but you've seen the first movie, you need to come out to the Cityplex 12 Theater in Newark, New Jersey. We're going to be showing the movie Hebrews Negroes 2, Revelation, the Age of Awakening, hosted by the Bethel International Church under Dr. Gloria Harris. You want to come out, get your tickets before that date because we have a limited seats that are available. And you want to get your tickets early so that when you come to the door, try to get tickets, you're not going to be told that it's sold out. So I'm going to say it again, this Thursday coming up in Newark, New Jersey, August 22nd, Thursday, Newark, New Jersey. You want to come out to the Cityplex 12 Theater. If you haven't seen the second movie, Hebrews Negroes 2, Revelation, the Age of Awakening, you want to come out and a fellowship with others that are going to see a movie that's about some truth.
What we've seen now, and I want to be clear, when you spoke about Kyrie a couple weeks ago, you never called for a suspension for him. You never said that.
No, never.
You never said he should be suspended. He has been, and they said, no less than 5 games. Tonight it's going on game 7. Is this warranted or is this a lot?
No, it's not warranted. And it's unprofessional by Josiah and the organization to put the demands out to the public. Mm-hmm. Like if I got a problem with Donzel, I'm gonna be like, Donzel, boom, 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 boom. I'm not going, hey, I had a problem on the podcast yesterday with Donzel and tweet out, Donzel better do this. No.
Right.
That's what we call in the streets a punk move. And a lot of people took offense to what I said because a lot of times you listen, but you listen through emotions. Mm-hmm. When I said idiot, I meant you can't do anything that's going to blemish your name. You, personally.
Especially if you have a bigger purpose, right? If you say you have a bigger purpose, I get it.
You personally can't blemish or tarnish your name, your legacy, or your career. You. So, and then a lot of people, well, you played it at your theater. No, yes, I did, because as an African-American theater owner, you bring your film to me, I'll let you play it. But like all films have sort of controversy, and like, I love gangster movies. I'm not gonna watch a gangster movie and then grab my phone with 30 million people and say, hey, you should go watch this movie, kids. You see what he did to the boom, 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 boom? Y'all should go do that, right? So if he would have paid attention and watched the movie, you should have known that one line and one thing that they said, that right there was gonna cause a storm with everybody. I'm glad that you found yourself. I'm glad that you're studying this religion. Amari Stoudemire has been doing this 20 years. And he's been studying, he's been dedicated. I'm proud. I don't mess with people's religions and what they do. You believe what you believe and you stand on what you believe. That's what you're supposed to do. But when you put yourself in jeopardy, you gotta be smarter than that. And that's all I was saying when I said idiot, because sometimes you gotta pay attention. But see, a lot of us, when we get this money and we get these followers, we think we know everything. Oh, hey, look what I'm learning, and what you learn ain't right. You need to do this. Boom, 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 boom. So yeah, so to all the people that said, oh, you played in your theater? Yeah, I played in my theater, but I didn't grab my phone with 100 million thousand people and say, do this and do that.
So when I hear what Kyrie Irving has to go through in order to be reinstated, I'm appalled. I'm appalled. And let me give you examples of how I feel like we don't have the same energy and hold other people who have dealt with racial tropes accountable. So when Sarah Silverman does blackface, or when Don Imus says nappy-headed hose, or when Howard Stern calls somebody the N-word in the skit, or when Brett Favre takes money from the state of Mississippi, we don't ask them to get sensitivity training. We don't ask them to donate $500,000. We don't ask them to meet with the Black National Caucus. They apologize. And then, you know what? The rest of the world moves on. But what I feel like is happening here, and that's how in the Black community, like, we've been told that's how the process works, right? Think about that, Britt. That's how the process works. Oh, somebody does a blackface. Oh, it was a misunderstanding. We got it. Okay. Is that person really racist? Probably not. Was it ignorant? Probably so. Okay. We understand it. We move forward. We don't like it. We would love to hold them accountable. But society, and having a lot of Black people in positions of power, we don't have the governability to do that. But what we feel like happens with Kyrie is, even after an apology, it's not enough. We feel like there needs to be more. And a lot of people I've spoken to over the last couple of days talk about this thing. Older mentors of mine talk about buck breaking.
First of all, Adam's Jewish. You can't take my $40 million and insult my religion. If you're gonna insult me, you have the right, but I have the right to say, no, you're not gonna take my $40 million and insult my religion. I think the NBA, they made a mistake. We have suspended people and fined people who have made homophobic slurs, and that was the right thing to do. I think if you insult the Black community, you should be suspended or fined heavily, depending. I saw they did the same thing to the kid in Minnesota this year when he made the gay slur. I think you should get suspended or fined. I think him acknowledging the Alex Jones thing should have happened with that too, because that dude's crazy. And I can't believe that we ain't talking about that. We're talking about this idiot. I can't believe that we ain't talking about that. We're talking about this idiot.
I can't believe that we ain't talking about that. We're talking about this idiot.
You responded to Joe Tsai's comment about Kyrie on Twitter. What about that bothered you? And what about Joe Tsai's comment? And then what, if anything, that the league has done has bothered you?
Yeah, his response was alarming to me. I tweeted it out yesterday. He didn't say that the organization was working together to get Kyrie back on the floor. He said that he had more work to do. And our society has more work to do, including Joe Tsai. And it's 2022. It takes 10 minutes of time to see who these business owners, corporations, etc., who they're associated with, who they're doing business with, and who they're affiliated with. And I'm vice president of the union, and it's part of my job to protect our players legally. And to see Phil Knight first come out and condemn, Kyrie, and also see Joe Tsai say he has more work to do, I think it's time for a larger conversation. And Adam came out and said a statement that he doesn't believe Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic, yet he's still suspended indefinitely. So those are my thoughts.
So no, I'm not going to turn my back on Kyrie Irving and pretend that he's an awful human being based on this press conference. It's wrong. There are a lot of people that feel that they're in pain from the Jewish community because they're upset that he shared this link. But also, if you're not paying attention, there are a lot of Black Americans that are telling you that they feel that they're in pain because you're telling them that they're not allowed to feel the way they feel about not understanding their roots. Following the statement that was made by the Brooklyn Nets, they then came back and they have listed the 6 steps that Kyrie Irving must complete to return back to the Brooklyn Nets. And here's what they are. Ready? The first thing that Kyrie Irving must do is apologize for linking the movie. Let's stop right there. That is an absurdity. Okay?
Never said that. Never, ever have said it. It's not come out of my mouth. I never tweeted it. I never liked anything like it. So the Holocaust in itself is an event that means something to a large group of people that suffered something that could have been avoided. No one said we had to practice racism. No one said we had to treat each other like garbage. No one said that I had to stand here today and understand that many people that come from generations 60 years ago, 40 years ago, enslaved some of my ancestors still, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and it's still going on. And you guys are asking me, respectfully, to speak on something that was a documentary that I had nothing to do with. I didn't make it. So just please keep that same energy when you guys are addressing me.
Kyrie, for the record, do you have any anti-Semitic beliefs?
Again, I'm gonna repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not gonna turn into a spin around cycle, questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question. Yes or no.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
Kyrie Irving, on the other hand, which, by the way, is my true opinion, really got the NBA association angry when he refused to get the COVID vaccine. So despite the fact that Kyrie Irving quietly supported the BLM movement, he gave millions of dollars to the George Floyd family, despite the fact that he is by no estimation a conservative or on the right, they're angry at him because they feel that they have some ownership over his body. And when he took a quiet protest and stance and decided that he was not going to get the COVID vaccine, which now has been proven a completely valid stance, I was one of the early ones too. You're not just going to put something in my body because you're telling everybody that they should do it immediately to save the world. It didn't make sense. And the NBA is angry because Kyrie Irving held that stance. And what better way than to try to hang him for sharing a link to a movie that the overwhelming majority of people that are weighing in did not watch. The movie is 3.5 hours long. But nope, the first thing he must do is apologize for linking the movie absent any comment. The second thing that they want him to do is to complete the anti-hate causes that the Nets first mentioned on November 2nd. It included a $500,000 donation to the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL. But last week, the ADL CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, said the organization could not accept the money while Irving refused to apologize. So by the way, he should never give a single red cent to the ADL. They are a hate group. They call me, every single person, a hateful human being. They're essentially just like BLM, right? They say you can buy your way back into society. It's like indulgences if you just give us a lot of money. What? That's completely foolish. No, you should not just take $500,000 from somebody in order to get his job back. I mean, how ridiculous is that? It's extortion at its finest. The third thing that they want Kyrie Irving to do is to complete sensitivity training. Okay, whatever that means. The fourth thing is that he must complete anti-Semitic and hate training, both of which will be created by the Nets. The fifth thing he must do is to meet with Jewish community leaders in Brooklyn. The sixth thing that he must do is meet with Nets owner Joe Tsai to demonstrate the lessons learned and that the gravity of the harm caused is understood. So this is now becoming basically a humiliation ritual.
Right? Because there's an element, if you're that sadistic, it's not enough to have your wife, your in-laws, your friends, your former friends, people that you've done music with, people that you've helped up, the whole world come out and condemn you. It's not enough to take the money away from you. Well, we're going to need Candace Owens to do it too. And I said no. I said I'm not going to come out and condemn Kanye because I wasn't there, I didn't do anything, and I don't think that's necessary. I think he's going through enough. He's my friend. That's what I said. Then I got yelled at and voices were raised. It was like, why won't you just make a statement to make it easy for us to say something against Kanye, this relationship, blah, 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 blah. And I said no. And they said, okay, well then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change the contract. And instead of being paid X amount of years, you are going to only get this. Are you willing to do that? I said, yeah, I'm willing to lose the money. Take the money, obviously, because he's my friend. And I will never forget the words that I said in that conference room to Jeremy Boring, because it's so true today, and I feel so good about myself that I cannot be purchased. I said, most of the world considers me to be a formidable enemy, but actually the reality is I'm a very formidable friend. And that's how I'd like to be remembered, as a formidable friend. And I said, one day you might need me as a formidable friend. And that was that. And you know what? Fast forward, and it looks like the person who actually is needing me as a formidable friend is Charlie Kirk. And I am a formidable friend, and he knew I was a formidable friend, and they are learning that lesson. And I am deadly serious on that topic of defending my friends, their honor. If they're going through something, if I have something to say to Kanye, okay, it's not Judas culture. I don't just hang him out to dry because everybody else is doing it and it's fashionable. And you can't tempt people with millions to do something like that. That's despicable. That's despicable.
Let me tell you a story about the ADL, Kanye West, and Adidas. As we all watched in recent weeks, the world-famous Kanye West unleashed torrents of anti-Jewish hate, both online and offline, on social media and in interviews. And as that happened, ADL, we do what we do, we sprang into action. Our researchers tracked how Kanye was cheered by extremists, from the Nation of Islam to the Proud Boys to neo-Nazi leaders. And many brands like Balenciaga and Gap, MRC, creative artists, many others, said that Kanye's values weren't their own. And as he unraveled, they cut ties. In many cases, they took losses of millions of dollars because of those decisions. But Adidas was silent. So I called the chairman of Adidas, and he gave me a list of reasons as to why he couldn't act. Now look, I've worked at some big companies. I get the politics, and I understand the pressure. So I told him, hey, we will work with you, and we will praise you if and when you do the right thing. But until you do, ADL will hammer you as hard as we can. I hung up the phone, and I knew to get that done, it wasn't about me or us. We had to turn to all of you. Adidas needed to hear directly from the people who buy their shoes and wear their workout clothes. So ADL launched a campaign, #RunAwayFromHate, to use social media to raise awareness of their inertia. And almost 20,000 of you directly lobbied the company. You posted, you tweeted, you emailed, you clicked, and you helped. First, the media took notice, and stories started to spread about their inaction. Then the markets took notice. Adidas' stock price dropped 23% over the month. And then Adidas took notice. Instead of just keeping their relationship with Kanye West under review, they put it on ice and terminated it. And look, while I wish they had done it sooner, Adidas, to their credit, made it abundantly clear that they would not do business with bigots. And today I am so pleased that they're here at Never Is Now to announce an incredible commitment that demonstrates their dedication to fighting anti-Semitism, to addressing hate, will last long beyond this moment. And if you haven't noticed, I am styling some very nice new sambas that I bought last night.
So I can't imagine just having shared a link to a movie, even, yes, okay, the movie had some falsehoods. He's acknowledged that. He immediately acknowledged it, which was the right thing to do, that there are some things in here that maybe are not correct. He took ownership over that. But despite doing that, they're just humiliating him. They just want to humiliate him. They want to take money from him, and they want to show to everybody else that we have the full power and control over our players. And this gets into what Kyrie Irving said about feeling like he's still an emotional and a spiritual slave in this country. I've talked about this often, and it so resonates with me. Again, I'm coming from a position of feeling and not a position necessarily of fact, but I have always had this feeling that I'm not really free, right? I'm not really free to be a Black person unless I abide by somebody else's rules. I'm not really free to say what I think unless I abide by somebody else's rules. For a very long time, it was difficult for me to say I do not support Black Lives Matter. I think that they are extortionists. I do not want to have to be a victim because of the color of my skin. I don't want to fund other groups and make them more powerful and secretly know that they're not actually helping Black Americans get ahead. And I felt relegated almost to that position based on the color of my skin. That's what it means to be an emotional slave, right? Is to be told perpetually that you have to be a victim. And now, in many ways, they're proving his point, that he is trying to express to you guys that he has held on to this hurt from the time he was a little boy of not knowing where he came from. And he felt that this documentary, which, by the way, I watched, and it looks like a PowerPoint. It is so low budget, and it's so poorly done, and it's very confusing. But despite me feeling all those ways about the documentary, I do understand why the documentary makers, as Black people, wanted to go on this journey to simply try to understand where they came from. Their conclusions potentially wrong. So let's relegate those conclusions to a debate. Let's have a conversation. Let's not further a divide between Black Americans and Jewish Americans who are fighting to say, no, I'm the biggest victim. No, I'm the biggest victim. No, maybe you have to give $500,000 to BLM to understand how we feel. No, you have to give $500 to the ADL to understand how we feel. Why don't we actually sit down and understand that there are a lot of people who are valid in the way that they feel? Let's hear those individuals and not censor them, because censorship does not work. It does not make the problem go away. Do you want to know what the actual result is, by the way, of the censorship that came? The ADL is now calling for the documentary to be pulled down. This documentary, which was obscure, in which nobody would have watched, even though Kyrie Irving tweeted it, is now the #1 thing watched on Amazon. It's #1 documentary on Amazon, because everybody's wondering, Streisand effect, what the heck is all of the fuss about? And beyond that, now people are watching it, assuming that everything in the documentary is true. These are real comments that are happening online. Pay attention to the trends of Kyrie, right? The hashtag Kyrie on Twitter. If you go under the comments, if you go onto Facebook and you look at the discussions that are happening all across America, they believe that everything in this documentary is true because of how vicious the media was in their overreaction and how vicious they are being in their punishment towards Kyrie Irving. So what I really want to say to you guys is understand that that's how it works. If you're not going to be bold enough to have tough discussions, you're instead going to essentially hang Kyrie Irving, right, for perhaps sharing something that he shouldn't have shared without some commentary that, hey, everything in this is not true. What you're going to end up with is more people that feel that everything in the documentary is true, which is not really what you want to do.
There is something special about you, Judah. There is something special about you, Israel, or Yashara'al. When I say Judah, Yahwadah. That is the ancient pronunciation of the word. There is something special about you, Judah. Yahweh only spoke to you, to us, as a nation. And he spoke to no other nation. That's why we are supposed to be what? That light. We're Yah's chosen people that's separated. We're supposed to be the nation that's teaching the nations, not the nations teaching us.
Lion of Judah come upon the earth, bringing unquenchable fire. All the tribes of Israel and the believers stand in power. Speak with authority, worship uncontrollably. There's something about you, Judah. Fire upon the kingdom of darkness. We may suffer for a little while, but joy cometh in the morning.
Judah special, no wonder we were a chosen vessel. In and out of captivity, weaving like a pretzel. Messiah come through the tribe, clean out the bloodline. We disciples, so put us up on the front line. Face to face with crime, cause we ain't scared to grind. When you connect the divine, we stay pressed for time. Evangelize, get defined, put us in prison in. Worship first, we always invite the spirit in. Cause revival through a pen, stacking souls in empty bins. Joy in the morning, this a warning, you will never win. Fire upon the head of the serpent, he next tail chirping. It's too late cause your tail's already burning. I don't want your riches, gotta match it with gold streets. Rubies all around me, the light shine, no police. The living used to be deceased, resurrected to a feast. Nothing like being in peace at the table with the meat.
What's your thoughts? Please be respectful with your comments. Also, please click the like, click the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.